How about that cigar?
How about that cigar?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 150 of How About That Cigar Live. Thank you so much for joining us live on Facebook, live on YouTube, and for those of you listening after the fact on the audio podcast, thank you guys so much for joining us on your favorite audio podcast platform. We are so grateful to you, and as always, we are here in the middle of remodeling Drew Estate Cigar Studios. And let's talk about the beautiful new Barn Smoker program. It is back in 2022, bigger and better than ever before, announced during the February 17th Freestyle Live broadcast. We have a Florida Barn Smoker in Claremont, Florida, May 13th through the 15th, a Pennsylvania Barn Smoker in Strasburg, Pennsylvania, July 15th and 16th, Connecticut Barn Smoker in Ellington, Connecticut, August 12th through the 14th. Kentucky Barn Smoker in Hopkinsville, September 30th through October 1st, and the big daddy of them all, the Savage Feast in Parker, Texas, October 21st and 22nd. On the Friday night before every Barn Smoker, Drew Estate will host DE25 exclusive pre-parties where those lucky enough to attend will be the first to experience new Drew Estate cigar launches. The DE25 exclusive pre-parties take the place of the original single-day DE25 that was postponed last year due to COVID-19. These 5 new DE25 exclusive pre-parties will allow Drew Estate to share their milestone with more people in an intimate setting to enjoy spirits, appetizers, and savor succulent pork roasted from a heritage pig. Dance to live music, entertainment, and beats spun by DJ Eli. Meet Drew Estate's ambassadors and enjoy their special cigars, as well as experience Drew Estate's newest cigars. For more info about the 2022 Barn Smokers, including a full breakdown of the ticket tier prices and the options they offer, please visit barnsmoker.com. So, yeah, as you guys can see, things
Succulent.
That word, it's
succulent.
Succulent. I did say succulent. As you guys can see, things look a little bit different here in the Drew Estate Cigar Studios. We are in the midst of a remodel. So things are going to be progressing into new and fun, different backgrounds that we have that we're working on. One of them that will be featured prominently in the future, this lovely sign that is actually on 200-year-old oak from a tobacco barn in Kentucky that was given to us by a good friend. And my neighbor, who's a Maplewood police officer, actually is also a woodworker, and he's got a laser engraver. So he laser engraved our logo on that beautiful old piece of oak from a tobacco barn. So it's little bit work in progress in the studio here, but it's all good. It's upgrades for you, because we love you so much.
We do. True story.
So just a little bit of small talk, just to start things out. So we just got back from Ristafari. So big thanks to Risty and Tanya and the whole family. Put on a great event. Had a great time seeing everybody again. The weather sucked, but it is what it is.
What do you do?
The Minnesota Wild suck.
Who?
Yeah, exactly. They win 8 and then they lose 10 and then they win 6 and then they lose 12, and it's been a crazy roller coaster. Baseball
is back, baby.
I'm so excited. We've been very sad thinking that the baseball season was not going to happen, but the baseball season is going to happen. So we're very excited for that. Twins have been making moves. I don't recall his name, but we picked up a good starting pitcher from Cincinnati. And
Charlie Sheen.
Yes.
What was his name?
I don't remember his actual name. Wild Thing was his like nickname in the
Right.
movie, the pitcher. I don't remember his actual name. Somebody put it in the comments.
Yeah.
If you guys know.
What was Charlie Sheen's character's name?
And there's Tampa Bay just signed a new quarterback.
Did they?
You know, he's a little bit older, but you know, I think he's had a little bit of success in the league before.
In the last 24 years?
John Gravy or I don't know, something. He's a quarterback who's had a little success in the league in the past, and so Tampa signed him, and we'll see how it Ryan Leaf. We'll see how it goes, I guess. You know, good luck to Tampa, I guess. You know, he maybe this guy can make a name for himself.
Yeah.
Who knows?
And then we offered our quarterback even more money for an extension.
Yeah.
Restructured it that frees up $14 million. Woo!
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yep.
Good luck with that. The Packers re-signed Brett Favre.
Ricky Vaughn,
thank you.
Yes.
The Packers re-signed Brett Favre, and now there are no pennies left to pay anybody else on the team. So
you realize you just said Brett Favre.
Did I
right?
say Brett Favre?
You did.
Oh
say
my
Brett
gosh,
Favre.
I'm so sorry. I said. Well, I was thinking about Tom Brady pulling a Brett Favre. But no, the I can't believe I just said Brett Favre. The Packers re-signed Aaron Rodgers. That's the quarterback I'm thinking of. And now there's no money left for any other players. So
we're in the same boat.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So let's get
on?
to our special guest of the evening. For a returning appearance on How About That Cigar Live. And guys, as always, you know that special guests on How About That Cigar Live are brought to us by our good friends at Corona Cigar Company. Corona Cigar Company and coronacigar.com, the internet's largest and easiest to use virtual cigar store. Corona Cigar Company offers you the finest handmade cigars, humidors, and cigar accessories at the absolute lowest possible price. You'll also find unique and limited cigars containing Florida sun-grown tobacco. As a proud American, president and founder of Corona Cigar Company, Jeff Borshowitz believed it was possible to bring cigar tobacco farming back to Florida. At Corona Cigar Company and coronacigar.com, you'll find the best selection anywhere in the world of cigars containing this special Florida sun-grown tobacco. If you live in Florida or are just visiting, be sure to visit any of the great Corona Cigar locations in downtown Orlando, Sand Lake, Lake Mary, and also the Davidoff of Geneva Lounge in Tampa. For more info on all of that, please visit coronacigar.com and floridasungrown.com. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you would please put your hands together for another appearance on How About That Cigar Live from Ferry Otego, Michael Herklots. Welcome back to the show, brother.
What's happening?
What is up, brother?
Life is beautiful.
Nice to see you guys.
It's great to see you, man. And I know we've seen you at the show, a couple shows. We saw you at the Great Smoke a few weeks ago. But the last time you were on the show, hindsight is a little ironic and funny because it was just butting up to the news, to all the things. And I'm sure you were sitting on the show like,
well, hang on. I was on a year ago.
No, he was on after the.
Was he?
Yeah. This is his third time on the show.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, I totally remember that. My bad. I mean, I was thinking of the time before that.
You see what I have to put up with, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, this is third time. The first time was just before announcement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Second time was almost exactly a year ago.
Yeah.
Which we had announced Ferio, but we did not have route to market.
Right.
We didn't know how we were going to be distributed. Obviously, we had no cigars. All we had was ideas. So it's still been a hell of a lot in a relatively short amount of time.
Yeah.
But it's been a crazy year. I don't expect you to remember it all.
It's all good.
Especially, meaningful interviews like that one.
Yeah.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah, no, just it's kind of my role here. That's what I do.
Comic relief. I'm the straight man. He's the comic relief. I'm
short memory.
I'm the Costello, and he's Abbott. Or is it the other way? I don't remember.
I don't remember which is which.
Who's on first? It's Ferry Otego.
Ferry Otego's on first. 100%.
Hey, this is brought to us by Corona Cigar, and I'm going to be at Corona Cigar next month, 3 days.
Nice.
I think 19th, 20th, 21st. We're doing Tampa, something, Orlando.
Awesome.
So he just posted it on his site, but 3 days back to back with Jeff, and I can't wait.
3 different locations.
3 different locations, 3 nights, and we are actively booking Texas. And I saw Jay is on.
Yeah.
And Jay has been an unbelievable supporter, even since before we had anything to ship. Just incredibly enthusiastic and tremendous advocacy for us. I've thanked him every time I see him, but since he's on, I want to thank him again.
Absolutely.
And his display of our products are just amazing. So we're going to get the Texas
great
too.
Advocate for this industry. Jay is just, I mean, he chimes into our show. He's at all the events. He's out there. Obviously, he has a successful retail business, but more than that, he is just a good dude. That, I mean, how do you not love Jay? So, encourage everybody to get to know Jay. Check out his store.
And there's tons of shout outs, but I got to do one more.
Do it.
My man, Chris Brown. I just saw he was watching.
Yeah.
And Chris is the reason I'm in the cigar business.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
I think we've told that story on this show before, but I just saw his name pop up, so I want to give a shout out to Chris. And shout out to everybody else. There he is.
Well, I think Matt wants to get into a cigar here.
I'm gonna fire something up here. So I wonder if this, because we're in different surroundings, so I'm like, is my headphone cable gonna reach? But we're about to find out, because it's time for the Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust
Toast Cam. When lighting your cigar, it is important to be patient, pay close attention to detail, and focus on the tobacco. In the same way, Steve Saka brings those same qualities to the ultra-premium cigars of Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust. Patience, close attention, and focus on the tobacco are the qualities that Saka and Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust have become known for. From Sober Mesa to Umbagog, Dunbarton has a blend that will fit your palate, your mood, and any occasion. Visit DunbartonCigars.com to learn more.
So I told Michael before we went live that I reached into my vault and I pulled out some beautiful. These are my last 3 for us tonight on the show of the Joel Sherman 75th celebration cigar.
Very cool.
Still just memorable back to when I first smoked it. It was actually recommended by Coop back when because he named it Cigar of the Year, I think in 20.
That's right.
And after he recommended it, I went and bought a couple boxes, and these are the last few. I think I know a guy who's got more actually here in town. So
retail? Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah. So I'll be reaching out to him and seeing if that
is funny. It's funny, that cigar was a very special cigar. It's really it's one of the blends I'm still most proud of, certainly projects I'm most proud of. But I mean, let's face it, 6.5 by 46 with a Connecticut wrapper, not exactly finger on the pulse of what's hot. You know what I mean?
Especially at that time when it came out.
Yeah. But the cigar was incredible. But it became one of those kind of geek cigars that people really kind of looked for and sought out. Mm-hmm. But when the announcement came that Nat Sherman was closing, I was shocked to see the fervor that people had to scoop up these, looking everywhere, posting, searching for them. JR had a bunch of them left.
What?
And they sold out in 24 hours, 40 boxes or 30. It was crazy.
Oh, I wish I had known that. That's all right. But yeah, it was, I think it's a brilliant blend. And
oh my gosh,
one that's,
so good.
I've been a fan of, like I said.
It's standing up to time too. I mean, what are we, 8 years?
Yeah.
Of aging, and it's still got body. And I had one about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Mark, you need to delete that message. I will talk to you. What are you doing?
I know there are 4 hiding on the bottom.
He's lying, you guys. Right. He's trolling. We'll talk later.
Go buy them and enjoy them because they're fantastic. Absolutely.
They're amazing.
So, Michael, first of all, it was great to see you, even if it was only briefly. It was great to see you at the Great Smoke.
Yeah, man.
Again, a fantastic job co-hosting that event.
Yeah.
And more kudos to Abe and the whole team there for putting on another incredible Great Smoke. It was hard to follow what they did in 2021, what you guys did in 2021, but 2022 was absolutely incredible. And hats off to you guys for running a really great show. And you're so engaging with everybody who's up there, and it really shows that it's it's just about the relationships and the conversations more than the cigars are fantastic, but it's more about the relationships and the conversations.
I think any chance we get to help deliver, I was going to say to deliver intimacy. That does not sound right. It's not, not what I'm trying to make. But to get inside, to learn a little something more about the people, their backgrounds, their characters, to feel more from these folks than just, enjoying their cigars. That's a pretty cool thing to be able to do.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy being able to do those interviews and connect with consumers and folks who are on the ground. It's just a lot of fun.
And you're good at it. Like, you do really well with, anybody who knows you can riff and the drop of a hat, and you've got that style, but the back and forth and the interviewing style that you have, I'm all about. So, kudos to you.
Yeah, thanks,
you do a
man.
really good job, man.
It was great. I can't wait till next year. It'll be here before we know it.
I know, it's crazy. So take us back through, it's like we said a little bit, it's been a very full 18 months for you, past 18 months for you, to say the least. So, take us sort of back through, the mental roller coaster and the emotional roller coaster for you from, first, learning about everything going on with the legacy brands, to starting up Ferriotego, to PCA with no order sheets and no product, and then finally getting that product into the public's hands and to where you are now. Take us through that last 18 months and what the roller coaster has really kind of meant to you.
Well, let me speed through the first, let's say, 8 months.
Yeah.
And if anyone wants to hear that saga, they can go back and watch the last 2 episodes.
Yeah.
That we've recorded. But since we were last together, we made a lot of progress. We really got to work at the end of 2020, initially with the Ferriotego blends and brands, re-engaging with our factories, partners, Plasencia, Nicaragua, Quesada in DR. And that was a real immediate spring to action. Once the decision was made for Ferriotego specifically that I was going to go on my own, stay in the business, and launch a brand, we got to work right away with the factories. But without having any real plan or any real money for that matter, because we had just spent it all in acquiring the brands, I have to really give credit to the Quesadas, Plasencias, and Cigar Rings. They, all 3 of them, once we kind of walked them through what the high level idea was, they all said, whatever you need, you got, and we'll start. Don't worry about it. And that's a pretty special opportunity to get to get a real head start there with their support. But we announced the acquisition of the former Nat Sherman brands in January, but we actually concluded that transaction at the end of the year. So we had gotten a little bit of work done and kind of behind the scenes work, but the factories largely closed through the holidays, so there wasn't much to do anyway. But once January hit, we really jump-started production, but we still didn't have a real plan as to how we were going to sell the cigars into market. So we were exploring a lot of options, and so the factories were being very gracious, but they also had a high degree of confidence that by the time the cigars were ready, we would have a plan to sell. And really, shortly after our conversation a year ago, we announced our distribution agreement with Davidoff USA.
Yeah.
And that is it's one of these kind of magical stars aligning. I worked for Davidoff for almost 10 years early in my career. I spent the next 9 years at Nat Sherman working with Davidoff as a manufacturing partner. They make our Metropolitan Host. And so we always had a very close relationship. We maintained a close relationship throughout the trying to sell Nat Sherman, and maintained a close relationship as we were shutting down Nat Sherman. So when we shared the news that we bought the brands back, we obviously were staying in close touch to build back up some inventory and reestablish production. And it was through those ongoing conversations that they brought up the idea of how are we going to market. And we shared some of our ideas, some of the people we were talking to, and they suggested that we have a deeper conversation about what that might look like from a Davidoff perspective. And to be honest with you, it didn't go well when we were first kind of talking it through, because we were taking a very conventional approach to distribution, and it really wasn't in their model, and that wasn't really our model either. But then we kind of took a step back and said, well, let's think about this differently. And what if, instead of just doing a typical fulfillment plan, let's actually consider incorporating Ferio Tego into the Davidoff USA portfolio. So not just fulfillment, but more importantly, representation and full inclusion in the portfolio. So next to and adjacent to Camacho and Zeno and Avo, that Ferio Tego joins the portfolio. And that was really quite an interesting option. And so ultimately that's where we netted out. And so now today we started officially selling in October with the Ferio Tego limited releases, followed shortly thereafter by the 2 blends of Timeless from Dominican Republic, and then the 2 Timeless from Nicaragua in November. But by the end of 2021, we were in about 400 stores with 4 core blends and 2 limiteds. That's a pretty significant amount of progress in a very short amount of time, due entirely to the support of our 3 manufacturing partners, Davidoff in Honduras, Quesada in Dominican, Plasencia in Nicaragua, Cigar Rings in Dominican for printed materials, Humidiv Group for boxes for Ferio Tego. It was about 7 countries all working together to get everything up and running and in a warehouse. And we also had Metropolitan in the warehouse by the end of the year. We just waited until January to release it, just to give everyone breathing room, because Jay Davis said if I release one more thing in 2021, he was going to have a heart attack. So we waited until January and then released Metropolitan. But here we are now. It's March. So that's October, November, December, January, February, 5.5 months. We're in almost 600 stores with 9 blends in market. That is really awesome. Very exciting.
Ridiculous.
I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah.
That Generoso,
It's pretty good.
I can't even look at you because it's so good. It's sold out at a couple of the shops that I can get it up here. How's inventory? Let's
We're asking selfishly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, well, I'll tell you what, though, there is some out there. I don't know if Jay has any left, but if he does, I'd highly recommend calling Jay. I know there was a store in Arizona that still had some left. Ambassador Fine Cigars, they had a little. Who did I just talk to that had some left? Jack Schwartz in Chicago had some left. Mickey Blake's in Southington, Connecticut had some left. So there's a little out there, and we're closely approaching the 2022 release. So hopefully we will fully exhaust the 21s, and the 22 should be, May timeframe. We're hoping.
So talk to us a little bit about, because there was a lot of anticipation built around the specifically the Elegancia and the Generoso. And not only was there a lot of anticipation around it after the fact, because the anticipation is great, but it's sort of that excitement, where the roller coaster is going up the hill, getting ready to go down that first hill. And then the responses started coming in from retailers, from media, from consumers, and responses, as far as I've seen, far and wide, have been overwhelmingly positive. So just, tell us when you just how you take that all in when you put so much, thought and, sweat and, just work into something like that. What does that feel
awesome. Like? It feels great, man.
Yeah.
I had it, I tasted that feeling in the past with releasing Timeless, releasing a Joel Sherman. I was very fortunate to be able to create so many blends and bring them to market. But I did it for a brand that wasn't mine. And so there was a little bit of a feeling of being a ghostwriter where, you do the best work you can do, but ultimately it's not your name as the author. It's the brand that you work for, which is great. That's the job. I was honored to do it. I loved doing it. But this is a very different feeling because now this is mine and it's Brendan's. And so there's a different degree of pressure, I guess. Not that it was less pressure to release something before, but just have more riding on it. So to see people's responses as favorable was obviously tremendously rewarding and fulfilling. To then see the reorders and the accolades and the reviews, and that really is something else. But I'll tell you, one of the most meaningful things is just when I saw people I know post photos, like people that are just friends of mine that went out and spent their money to buy my brand. That was really, it's an incredible, humbling thing. I went to a buddy's house here in town for his wife's birthday party, and he had this great fire pit outside, and everything was great. And he's a big cigar guy. And I went out, and he had a box of Ferio Elegancia and a box of Generoso open for the fire pit.
Nice.
I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I went in town. I bought these today at Ridgewood Tobacco. I'm like, oh my God, that's incredible. A buddy from my hometown, Seth, he was scooping up boxes from all over, all these different stores, and sending me pictures. He's like, I got 2 from this guy and 1 from this guy. I'm like, slow down, bro. It's great, but man. And he's like, oh, I love them. I can't wait. It's really amazing to see that kind of enthusiasm and appreciation for the work.
Yeah. And there's a difference between that kind of friend versus the friend who is like, hey, we're having this get together. You think you might be able to supply the party with a few treats,
I had another buddy literally text me, send me some. Can't wait to try. I'm like, see you, bro.
Sorry, did I say that? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. But no, man, it's been amazing.
Yeah.
Incredible and amazing. My 2 favorite words. I overuse them all the time. But I don't know what other words to use. It's such and particularly because the time frame has been so short, and there was also so much waiting and anticipation that can also, go over like a wet fart in church too. And I was, how do you maintain momentum without setting yourself up to let people down? That was certainly a tricky balance. And I was absolutely concerned that people would be disappointed based on the hype and anticipation that was there. So I'm relieved that it seems as though we have met people's expectations and hopefully exceeded them when possible.
Yeah. One of the things that I've been curious about with your relationship with Brendan and the roles that you guys play when it comes to, because when you have, and just for the sake of sort of this topic, I'm gonna sort of put Brendan in a box, being sort of the finance guy, the money, the numbers guy, who handles and makes sure that things are stable and all that. And I'm not saying that's all he is. I'm just saying, for this argument. And I know this is not his first rodeo in the cigar world, obviously, but there are certain decisions creatively and maybe production wise that look sometimes really stupid on paper. But you, having the experience you have in the cigar industry, know that there are certain decisions that, while they may look stupid on paper, are highly likely to be successful. Have you guys had any of those maybe slightly tough discussions, or maybe even incredibly tough discussions, where you're saying, trust me, this is the way we have to do it, this is going to work, and he's looking at the numbers going, nope, can't do that? How does that dynamic work between you guys?
Dude, it's great.
Okay.
I mean, I am an artist. You know what I mean? I go with gut and passion and feelings, which is all lovely. And I'm very proud of my artistic background. But there's a term starving artist for a reason, right? And that's because artists are compulsive, and we do things based largely on gut and rarely on fiscal responsibility. And so to have a guy like Brendan, who has the same affection and reverence for what we are doing as I do, but he is not an artist. He would never claim to be. He is a finance guy, but he's a passionate guy. He's not a typical, he's not a passionless CFO. He's very passionate about the business. He was passionate about Nat Sherman. He's passionate about Ferio. But he is very patient. He's also a really good teacher and explainer. So if he does push back on something, he'll always defend it with the why. And it's also, neither one of us ever present an idea that is absolute, because we both want the same outcome. Yeah. So if I share an idea that's a little out of left field, he will bring a thoughtful response of, well, this is what that looks like. So you're an artist. Like, he's really good about taking science and making it art, so that I can get it, with pictures and rainbows and unicorns,
crayons,
and all that stuff. Yeah. But that's what I need. And he's really good at doing that. And so throughout this whole process, we've made a lot of major decisions in the last 18 months, but I can't say that we have made one where there was a sense of opposition and one person basically pulled rank and said, this is the way we're doing it. I don't think we've ever come to a decision that way. Every major decision we've made together, with the balance of the art and the science.
Yeah. As far as the, I guess I'll call them the legacy lines, what is still left on the schedule or the plans to be put back on the market? And do you have any dates in mind for those yet?
So I don't think there's anything left that we were planning on, what I would call leading with.
Okay.
So all of Timeless has been released. All of Metropolitan has been released. Now, we did buy the Apoca brand, but it was not contemplated to roll that out quickly.
Sure.
That is a brand that we thought could use some some more thinking and strategy behind it. So all 4 timeless are in market. All 5 Metropolitan are in market, plus the 2 Ferio Tego, Elegancia and Generoso. What is not in market are some specific sizes that we had before that we did not bring back yet. And so internally, we're figuring out, do we want to bring them back? And if we do, when? But, we're not naive to the reality that 42 SKUs in 3 months is a touch aggressive, And so we were really trying to be thoughtful to make sure that everything we released was a proven winner, that there was no size that presented any risk for anyone to bring in. And so that's why, we did not launch with the 6x38 Lancero or a short perfected shape in Timeless Prestige also. Any of those more what I like to call those connoisseur shapes, we waited. We know what the market demands, and even though I happen to love some of those more elegant formats, the reality is they're not huge contributors either to our business or to our retail partners' business. And so we had to make sure that we brought out what people need, and then we'll think more thoughtfully about what to do with some of the other sizes.
Yeah. Now, as far as the actual, the Ferio Tego cigars, the Elegancia and the Generoso, that's going to be a yearly thing. So there were the 2021s, there's going to be 2022s, and so on and so forth. Correct?
Yes, sir. The idea really behind those two, the best analogy I've been able to present is wine.
Yeah.
So a great winery that you like happens to make a Cabernet and a Chardonnay every year. And that winemaker is going to try and make the same wine or close to the same wine every year, despite the fact that every year the grapes are different based on the harvest and the growing season. Well, even though we're not applying vintage per se, we are making the cigars new in every production without necessarily trying to replicate the year before. So we're trying to replicate a style, not a specific experience.
Okay.
Because I'd like for there to be a little bit of uniqueness to each release to allow them to ebb and flow a bit. But certainly Generoso will always be obviously Generoso. Same with Elegancia. They will be the same style, but there might be some little, very small fluctuations because we know that the tobaccos that we're using for this year's production, some of them have changed from last year's production. But if we blend to the same specs and then identify a really radical shift in experience, then obviously you tweak a blend to pull it back towards what it should be, but not with the same deliberate intention that we would say with Prestige, where when we are replacing one tobacco with another one that is exhausted, we are pulling that back to replicate the experience of the cigar itself through that reblending process. We're just not doing that with Ferio. We want to be able to let that kind of breathe a little and be flexible.
I'm sorry, Herc, I didn't even ask you what you're smoking and drinking right now. So what are you enjoying?
Oh man, I'm having a Supreme 554, nice Nicaraguan Puro, and I'm drinking a little Amaro, which is a bitter aperitif. Nice, easy. I was in the mood for it.
Yeah, right on.
So I'd like to move away from cigars for just a second.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah. So Herc, you just stated, and anybody who doesn't know, you are an artist, from music, visually, and what I want to take a trip down is your Instagram. So anybody who hasn't seen Mike's Instagram, after the show, go out and do it. It is a joy.
Yeah,
it truly is. But what I want to do is I want to get into your head a little bit, and I want to know what your process is when you are looking to create the scene, to create, these great pictures, what that looks like from a logistic standpoint. Take us through the mind of Herc a little bit when you're creating these.
Bro, you have just given way more credit to the process, and so now I need to get creative about how to live up to that. No, man. I mean, I don't do much. I don't do staging. I don't do any of that, man. I
Where
take
do
a
you have the
picture.
camera set up? Because either you have a photographer that follows you around, which mad respect. I would respect
Well,
that.
I can tell you, anytime a photographer takes my picture, there's always photo credit to the photographer. So if you look at like the caption, you'll
Yep.
always see a photographer tagged
Yeah.
if a photographer took the photo. But otherwise, no, it's a phone, maybe a tripod, maybe a book, could be a windshield, sometimes a timer, sometimes a video. I'll video record and then screenshot. And then, a
Do you
couple
have to be in
edits.
a mood? Do you have to be in, like a sassy mood, or what? Where's your head at?
Sometimes sassy, sometimes drama.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, man. It's funny. I go through waves. There are times when I'm like, all right, I just need to shoot a bunch of stuff just so I have some content. So when I have no inspiration, I have something to put up there.
Yep.
But I'm not an influencer. Like I'm not, posting every day, tagging all the right things, putting the right hashtags. I don't get paid for posts. I don't, any brand I tag because I truly love it. And I paid for it. So, I'm not, I don't think I take it as seriously, maybe as it looks like I do. I try and take the Ferriotego one a little more seriously and be more thoughtful about balancing what I post there. But honestly, it's just nice to post again, because for my last 2 years of Nat Sherman, there were a lot of restrictions of what I could do because of our ownership. I couldn't post brands. I couldn't show bands. It was very bizarre. It was almost anonymous, which is actually why I kind of changed my posting style to being a little more fashion and a little more New York and a little more stuff, because I couldn't post the stuff I was used to posting.
Yep.
And in hindsight, I think it actually helped me grow my my network a little, because it wasn't just all cigar heavy stuff. But no, I really don't have a I really don't have a secret. There's an app called Visco, VSCO, that's that I find helpful for photo editing.
Yep.
But even just, being more thoughtful about trying to tell a story with a picture. So I'm not just taking a picture of the moment, like cigar, drink, snap, post.
Yeah.
I think Instagram especially has evolved from being a what am I doing in the moment to telling a very specific message about something very specific. And stories has become a little bit more of the what am I doing right now. So I have gotten a little more thoughtful about that. But no, man.
So I feel like we just listened to an interview with a great
You're such
guitarist.
a clown, bro.
Dude, no, like you're an artist, and I know you're just flippantly saying I just freaking do these little whatevers, but in all honesty, you have any artist look through your Instagram, they'll see great color contrast, great framing, tells a story, and I'm not trying to get in your pants, but I'm letting you know again, again, which I appreciate, by the way.
In fairness, it wasn't in.
Yeah, it was the outside. It was just being helpful.
Legit, you've got a great eye, and I just wanted to draw attention to that for those who hadn't seen it, and give you kudos, because it is well done. It's classy. And I think we need to see more of that in the industry. Anybody who's looking at upping their Insta game could take a few lessons from the Herc.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, man.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll keep it up.
So I thought long and hard about whether or not to put this question on here, but I just because there's so much in the industry going on around this right now, I just want to get your thoughts, and if you have any, to share with us. But I'm sure you've seen the kerfuffle going on very recently about, the statement from the PCA about branding and Charlie Minato's letter on Half Wheel, editorial on Half Wheel about all this. What have you seen about, this cigar branding kerfuffle, and what are your thoughts on everything going around about this?
Well, I would also throw into the mix Matthias Klock from Fine Tobacco NYC also wrote a piece prior to Charlie's piece. It may have even been prior to the PCA's piece.
Okay.
About appropriate branding and marketing. And look, you just brought up Instagram. I think that's a very interesting piece of this whole puzzle. One thing I try very hard when I do post things is to make sure that it is not a blatant advertisement, that it's a little more discreet, but more importantly, that it is profoundly adult.
Yeah.
Unquestionably adult. We live in a moment where, sorry, but life's not fair. And just because one person is allowed to do something doesn't mean that you're allowed to do something. And we have spent many years as an industry pointing at adjacent industries and saying, yeah, but what about vape? Yeah, but what about CBD? Yeah, but what about
Alcohol,
cryptocurrency? What about cotton candy flavored vodka? What about pot gummy bears? Yeah, but that's not fair. That's not fair. That's life's not fair. Like, it's not fair. We're tobacco. We're different, and so that's just the way it is. And I'm a huge fan of being innovative and being disruptive. Huge fan of thinking differently and shaking things up. For most businesses, when you want to innovate and disrupt, you push and push till you get to the line, and then you consider how much you can blur that line to disrupt and stand out, knowing that what is on the line is your business and reputation. The difference with our industry in this particular moment is that what's on the line is the industry. And I am all for thinking differently, and I'm all for being innovative and disruptive. But as you get close to the line of what could be perceived as inappropriate, attractive to youth, you name it, disrespectful. When you get to the line, you have to ask yourself, what is at stake? And is it worth it? And I believe that when we are standing at the line, there are differing opinions, clearly, as to what the responsibility is to an individual company, or to an entire industry. I have explored what some of those opinions are, and I tend to be in the camp of being more cautious and being respectful and being thoughtful, with the belief that a rising tide will raise all ships. That's a camp that I like to be in. And I believe that within that school, we have been able to think differently. We've been able to be innovative. We've been able to disrupt to a degree. And we've been able to have a very successful business. But we have done all of that with profound admiration and respect for the people and the companies who have come before us. And we do it with the truest intention of continuing to pave the way for people who will come after us. The last thing I want this business to be is more difficult for people. We should be helping to pave the way. And I believe wholeheartedly that that is what a lot of companies have done over the decades that have made my growth as in my career, and certainly with Ferry Otego, maybe a little easier than what they had to do. So, this kick your heels in and suggest that somehow, the industry is going in the wrong direction. I think it's obviously not rooted in fact, because all facts indicate that our industry is moving in the right direction. And in fact, not just moving in the right direction, but moving in the right direction together, despite the fact that, of course, we are frayed in our fringes, like the country is, like families are. There's always something far left and far right. But largely speaking, as a premium cigar industry, we've never been more aligned than we are today. And so I look at some of the more disruptive, innovative creators, and I admire what they do. I think they're incredibly creative. I think they can channel that creativity in a slightly more thoughtful way that would be considerate of the rest of the industry. Now, they don't have to, and they can just keep doing what they're doing. But we are an industry that has a tremendous amount of dignity. We're a simple business, and over the years, that simple farmer mentality has grown, and the small family business model has grown. And so now you've got a much more mature industry than ever, with way more resources than ever. We're also more educated than ever, and we know what's at stake. We never had a seat at the table with Washington, D.C. and lawmakers. That was earned not just through time and hard work, but with money, with actual dollars. And the only place that money came from was from businesses and business owners. And now those business owners are being criticized with being too cautious, or dinosaurs, or somehow being complicit in the process. It's just those opinions simply aren't rooted in fact. And I personally like to stick with the facts, and I like to look at what I know to be true. And I'll tell you that whether it's the Fuentes or the Newmans or Rocky Patel or Altadis in general, Holtz, Padron, they have spent an inordinate amount of time and money. Retailers too. Jay has been in Washington. Jeff, we mentioned Jeff at Corona. He spent a ridiculous amount of time in Washington, and money. So, look, if the premium cigar industry wasn't going in the right direction, what smart business entrepreneur would say, you know what? I'm going to get into this dying business because I'm going to turn it around and save it myself. I don't know. I know a lot of smart people, and anyone who's an entrepreneur, I think, is smart and takes risk. And no one takes risk based on a lead balloon model. You take risk because you see an opportunity to grow. And so I look at, anyone who is passionate enough and brave enough to be in the premium cigar industry as an entrepreneur deserves an opinion and deserves the right to do what they want to do, but not at the expense of all the people who have come before, who have made it a little bit easier along the way. So I think a dose of gratitude goes a long way. And here's my final piece. I think just culturally, not about this subject, but about everything, before you say something that is at best an opinion or at worst advice, you should say it in a mirror first, just to see if it might apply to you. I believe that wholeheartedly. So if I'm going to suggest that that what someone else is doing is wrong, and I can state why, I damn well better be sure that I'm not guilty of exactly the same thing, perhaps in the exact opposite way. But the root could be the same. I think there are way more things that we are aligned on as an industry. I think the majority of the participants in this industry are aligned in being thoughtful and being civilized. And I think even for the fringe who think radically different than many, I think they too share the same passion and conviction. And if perhaps they would consider that the way they feel is exactly the way the person with the opposite opinion feels, it might lend a touch more grace and understanding to a more open conversation. And I think that spending time trying to understand the other side versus spending all your time screaming about what you believe to be true might do us all a bit of good.
Well put.
Yeah, very well said. And I would just like to add that I feel as though there's a handful of, maybe not even a handful, but a few of the boutique brands that have gotten thrown under the bus, and some of the bigger boys have been left out of, that road.
Well, let's face it. Some of the loudest participants in the conversation of what I would call the disruptor crew, which is not a criticism, right? That's a compliment.
Right.
Yep.
The loudest voices of the disruptors today were certainly not the original innovators of the ideas. So
Right.
I think you're right. A lot of some of that early disruptive marketing was coming from established brands.
Yeah. What are now considered legacy brands.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we're also we start to split hairs about where the line is.
Yeah.
So is it colors? Well, colors might have been the line, but maybe we didn't think so in 2014. But what we know today is that the FDA believes that colors can be attractive. And if they can be, well, that's new information.
Yeah.
And so I know that's not fair that someone else got to do it and now, you have to make a different decision. But that's the way it goes. There was a time when you used to be able to drink and drive, and now you can't. And that's not fair. Well, that's because we learned some things along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And what we've learned is that, it's not a good idea. So if we've learned that, in fact, some of these colors have been proven to be attractive to youth, or could be argued that they could be, right? They could be perceived to be. I'm not using those colors.
Yeah.
Like, no problem. I take them out of the crayon box. I work with what I have and then think differently. True disruptors disrupt based on, the guidelines and rules. If you want to be a real disruptor, you don't just break all the rules.
Yep.
You learn how to play in the rules and change it up. And I think all these guys are so incredibly talented. This latest school of disruptors, they have my admiration. I've said it to a lot of them that I just think what they're doing is incredible, especially post-COVID. I mean, really finger on the pulse ahead of the pack.
Yeah.
But let's not be, you got inspired by one interesting idea. You've doubled down and made it better. But now, the wheels are starting to fall off here. So let's make sure we're not completely falling apart.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really well put.
Good stuff.
It's been there's a lot of info going around about it, and obviously, we live in the age of social media, so everybody's sharing their thoughts and opinions about it.
But we also know that too has changed the game. The greatest advantage to our industry has also become our greatest risk.
Yeah.
With every eye that's able to see anything, that is a serious problem.
Yeah.
And, I've even gone back and relooked at my feed, my own Instagram feed, to see, after this last report came out, which I read and watched, that they specifically identified that premium cigar brands are using social media to make it appear that that premium cigars are a healthier lifestyle.
Right.
I hope I didn't do that. So I've gone back and looked, like what could I do to help, make sure that my messaging is not attractive to youth. And let's face it, I don't think a lot of youth are attracted to wearing suits, smoking things that smell bad and are expensive and arguably taste bad, and drinking things that taste bad with it. All of those things, I think, compounded would suggest that the concerns that they've raised in those reports, they are right to raise them. But I think the way they phrase them is also important, which is could be, not is.
Right.
And if we are only at what they've hypothesized as 1% of the population using premium, largely white, older men, of that 1%, that report basically says that we don't have the problem that some people hypothesize we do. But the last thing we need is one example. You just need one exhibit in a trial to present reasonable doubt.
That's all they need.
We don't need reasonable doubt.
Yeah.
We need absolutely no doubt.
Right. And the other big thing about the social media piece is, like we're doing right now, I mean, it's obviously virtual. We're not in the same room, but social media changes the dynamic of conversation and the dynamic of friendly debate, even heated debate. When you're in a room together with somebody, specifically in this case, consenting adults enjoying premium cigars together, having difficult conversations, it changes the dynamic and let's even take it outside of the cigar world. It could be politics, it could be family, it could be religion, it could be finance, it could be crypto, it could be any subject of conversation. Social media changes the dynamic where you don't converse with people and you don't disagree with people the same way you do through social media as you do in person. And I think some of the disagreements that have gone back and forth on this branding subject for the last few weeks have been from what I've seen, there have been too many unfortunate instances of the social media syndrome.
Bro, sorry to cut you off. The
go
problem is there has not been a conversation. Not once. There has not been a conversation. There have been independent monologues, whether short or long, being either recorded or posted or presented, but it's not been a dialogue. It's been one side goes, then the other side goes.
Right.
Nothing is resolved that way because no one truly listens in order to come to some sort of agreements can't happen.
Yeah.
Post after post.
And
agreements happen when you sit down and have a conversation.
And that's kind of what I'm getting at, is that conversation can't happen over social media. And that's why.
And by the way, it shouldn't. Conversations are about one opinion versus another opinion and the ability to find common ground and mutual respect. That's a conversation. This has become a sport.
Right.
Where, it's not just me, but it's me, and I'm going to rally my crusade to start posting opinions. Then that's going to be met with another set of dissenting opinions.
Yeah.
It's happening in politics. It happens in restaurant reviews. It happens in every facet, because in social media, you are not required to stop, listen, and consider a response.
Right.
You just don't have to. And it's a shame. And our young people are going to have a hell of a time in life.
Oh,
Having to have actual conversations.
100%. So
some of the old people.
We got a ball python for my son, and he was having a hard time feeding him. Didn't going through, and we were on this web forum looking at the best techniques for feeding your ball python, and we're looking in the comment section after reading all of this information by a reputable reptile guy, and the comments were like, if you don't feed your ball pythons live rats, you're an asshole. And another person is like, if you don't feed them frozen, you're cruel because it could bite the snake. And my son was like, well, what the shit is this? I don't know what to do with this now, because and that's the world we live in, with all of these hyper aggressive opinions about everything.
There's this digital wall. It doesn't matter what the subject matter is.
Right.
There's this digital wall that separates you, and people on both sides, just one guy on this side lobs a grenade over the wall, and then the other guy on the other side of the wall is like, fuck you, and lobs a grenade over the other side of the wall, and back and forth and back and forth.
But the problem is that generally the people who participate in that type of worthless sportsmanship are only the fringe.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Which goes back to my point earlier, which you're talking about, this kerfluffle about marketing and branding. There's actually not a kerfluffle, because in fact, the majority of the premium cigar industry is completely aligned that we need to stay within the parameters of what is unquestionably appropriate. That's not a kerfluffle. That's actually largely aligned. The kerfluffle only occurs in highly animated social platforms.
Yeah.
And it
but
snowballs.
Those are typically the loudest of the conversations that are being had.
Absolutely.
And those are the ones that
the reality is it's not the majority.
Correct.
And the people who are actually putting in the work and busy with their hands in this industry day in and day out, they're too busy to be on social media barking back and forth at people.
Yep.
They're not the ones on there doing all this.
Have you guys read Trust Me, I'm Lying?
No.
Who wrote it?
Okay, everybody should read this book. I forget the author's name, but
I'll look it up right now.
If you look it up, the premise, this guy, I want to say starting in like 2008, he was hired by every corporation, every media outlet you could think of to manufacture stories that either contained a little bit of truth to no truth at all, just to get buzz about a particular anything. It could be a political thing, it could be a business thing, but that book enlightened me a lot about how social media and information is spread, how misinformation is spread, and how it's trusted. If you get one blogger to write an article or even to cite your article and just the firestorm that happens, there are companies that are making millions of dollars manufacturing information. And this isn't like tinfoil hat shit. This is stuff that is going on and how our information is being spread.
Yeah.
Fantastic book. This guy finally got sick of being a part of the media monster that was spreading disinformation, got a bit of a conscience and wrote this book. And it's fantastic.
Ryan Holiday.
Ryan Holiday. That's right. Great book. Everybody should read it.
But did you really read it, or are you lying?
100%. No, I'll show you.
Because you said, trust me, I'm lying.
Trust me. Actually, the book doesn't exist. There is no book called Trust Me, I'm Lying.
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate. But listen, as someone who went through and experienced
Oh yes.
the fervor of fringe and
Yes.
social media, when you get wrapped up in it, it feels like it's real, like it's the most important, biggest problem we face. But when you actually turn it off and just start having actual conversations, like I did in 2018, customer by customer, you know, it wasn't as big a problem as it was made out to be.
Right. Yeah, we just want people to get having real conversations again, face to face,
and it's an art that we're losing with social media.
The art of conversation.
The art of conversation.
Absolutely.
Being able to have conversation is
well. If this one is any indication, we are clearly headed in the wrong direction.
Oh. All right. On that note, is it time?
Ooh, I think it's time.
Is it time?
It is time.
All right. It is now time for this week's Numero de los Muertos. And as always, Numero de los Muertos is brought to us by our friends at Smoke Inn. And guys, before we jump into this week's Numero de los Muertos, remember from our sponsor, Smoke Inn, if you guys go to smokeinn.com, pick the items you want, put them in your cart. At checkout, put in the code HBTC15. You will get 15% off your order. So go to smokeinn.com, use promo code HBTC15. So
you should also go watch The Great Smoke.
You should go watch.
If you didn't watch The Great Smoke, go watch The Great Smoke. See what you missed and make damn sure that you're there next year.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's worth it just to watch Abe dance.
That is something. Definitely.
Some moments are more memorable than others.
All right, so episode 150. What do you have for us this week?
This week is fun. Well, it's fun. All right. In the U.S., an average of, and this is a 20-year average, 400 people a year die doing this.
20-year average in the United States, 20 people a year die from this.
400 people.
400 people is what I meant to say. A year die from this.
Yep.
Is it a voluntary action?
Yes.
That is a great question.
Is it an action that one does alone or in a group?
Both.
Oh, that changes things.
No, I don't know the numbers on that.
I don't think anybody's ever died from that.
No.
I mean, maybe their pride.
Yeah, their pride maybe
died during that, but
not mine.
Yeah.
Not.
Does it affect men and women?
It does, but it's like 90% men, 10% women.
Because men are idiots.
Mitchell, it is.
Oh, so it's a sport.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a nationally recognized sport?
No.
Is it a team sport?
It can be, but don't think of it like that.
Is it a drinking sport?
No.
Is it a contact sport?
No.
This is not a professional sport.
Not a recognized professional sport. Some people do it for their profession.
So this isn't like something where you can watch, the whatever league on, the Ocho at 3 a.m. you know.
Well, there are places you can watch it
Oh.
on there are outfits that do cover this.
Is it killed by a dart throwing darts?
No, that's good though. It is not Fight Club. It is a land sport. I love you,
A
Todd.
heart attack while playing bocce?
Is it retrohaling? No, it's not retrohaling.
No, it's not retrohaling.
Did you
It's
say a yard sport?
land.
Land sport. Is
Yep.
it a yard sport?
No,
Is it played with a ball?
no. Not darts. Animals are not involved.
Are projectiles involved?
No.
Is it a fast sport or a slow sport?
Yes, it is a fast sport.
Are vehicles involved?
Yes.
Motor vehicles?
Yes.
Is it auto racing?
I need specifics.
Oh,
Is this like
car racing?
like go-kart racing?
Nope.
Don't get excited.
We're getting there. We're so close.
4-wheel vehicles?
Mm-hmm.
These are motorized vehicles.
Correct. Not
Mud,
stone.
like mud racing with ATVs.
Nope.
Is it drag racing?
You're really close. Kind of close. Not demolition or destruction derby.
Oh, I used to love demolition derby when I was a kid.
Jay, I think you have a story there.
Motorcycle racing while doing tequila shots. Yeah, Jay, we need to hear that story.
It is not derbies.
Motor vehicle on land.
It
It involves speed.
Yeah.
Fast sport.
Mhm.
it's not drag racing.
Well, I'm looking for.
Funny car race. I mean, a
Mm-mm.
specific kind of drag racing.
It's illegal.
Oh, illegal, like street racing.
It is street racing, and I'm going to give it to Mitchell
Oh yeah,
because he answered the same time you said it,
which means he typed it in like 5 seconds ago.
Yep.
Or 20 seconds ago.
Yep.
So because there's a delay.
So 400, mostly men between the ages of 18 and 24. About 400 die every year from street racing. Probably don't get a lot of that in New York City.
No, can't go far. Actually, you know what? During COVID, there was actually quite a lot.
Was it really?
Oh,
Yeah, it was a
that
big
makes
problem.
sense.
When the streets shut down or wasn't a lot of people out? Yeah.
It was a big problem.
Was it really?
Yeah, dirt bikes, tearing up Times Square. It was a serious problem. Serious problem.
Wow. My firm actually has an office right there in Times Square, and yeah, it's still pretty much vacant. I mean, I think maybe 1 or 2 people go there a week, but that's about it, really.
It's too bad.
It's very expensive real estate, but is what it is. So yeah, don't go street racing. Moral of the story.
Yeah. Moral of the story.
All right, that was this week's Numero de los Muertos. All right, it is time for the lightning round brought to us by our friends at J.C. Newman Cigar Company. They are America's oldest family-owned premium cigar maker, creators of the popular Brick House, Perla Del Mar, Diamond Crown, and the American. J.C. Newman Cigar Company operates out of their 112-year-old El Reloj factory in historic Cigar City, Tampa, Florida. For more information on their cigars or their visitor experience, please visit jcnewman.com. All right, so we have some fresh, new lightning round questions since you are an old hat to How About That Cigar Live. So
Bring it.
let's say the zombie apocalypse is coming. Who are the 3 cigar industry people that you want on your team to fight off the zombie horde?
Zombie apocalypse. Johnny Oliva, because he's always posting photos with guns and hunting.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Skip Martin, because he would definitely have booze to negotiate, but also a veteran.
Yep.
So he'd be able to, you know.
Yep.
He's got an arsenal too.
He's also a big gun guy. Yep.
Yep.
Well, he's got a lot of guns. I mean, he has no guns. If the government's asking, he doesn't.
Yeah, he doesn't have any guns. They're all
not real guns. They're
real.
NFTs.
NFTs. Yeah.
Johnny Oliva, Skip Martin. Who would be third? Kim Keeney.
Wow. All right. I need
Yeah.
not to sound like a sexist asshole, but I need some qualification here. Some further explanation, I mean, is what I need.
She's one of the smartest people I've met in this business.
Right on. I love it.
Yep.
She's beautiful.
She is.
And I think the zombies would just be so confused.
I love
Like,
that.
What
That's
is happening
fantastic.
that I feel with a high degree of confidence we would be able to overtake them.
That is fantastic.
That's a great team.
All right. So you're out with friends at a cigar bar one night, and it's karaoke night at the cigar bar. And they force you to get up and sing one song. What song do you pick?
I have to sing?
Yes.
See, I mean, like 10 years ago, it would have been Journey, but I don't have the range anymore. So what am I going to sing? Listen, nothing gets a crowd going like Sweet Caroline.
Oh.
I mean, you want to own a bar, own the crowd.
Yeah.
Sweet Caroline.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, Journey, but I don't have the range for that either.
You know, and if I had to pick a song for you, it would be probably Fly Me to the Moon.
Ooh,
Oh, the crooner kind of stuff?
Yeah.
You know, you talk about a buzzkill. You know, nothing makes me more uncomfortable than watching a grown man in a bar sing like Sinatra or Dean Martin, because and they snap on the wrong beats.
Right.
They put their eyebrow up.
They snap on one and three.
Like they are living their best life, and they're like, you know, and like like people are rooting them on, but deep down, someone's like, oh, what a douche.
Yeah.
You know.
And
So,
they've had like 7 or 8 white wine spritzers. And...
Yeah. It's terrible. Terrible. No, it's got to be a real crowd favorite that everyone can sing to.
I love it. Sweet Caroline is
some,
good.
Some other, what's another like good anthem? If it wasn't like Sweet Caroline, what's another
sing
like?
Along. Yeah, sing-alongs are the best. Like
something Bon Jovi.
Even duets. Get somebody up there and sing Summer Nights from Greece, or something that everybody sings along with. Those are always the best, because
I don't know. Now you're starting to hit the musical theater thing. That gets a little touchy.
I mean, that's it's sort of
Sweet Caroline. Final answer. Move on.
There you go. All right. So if you could have an unlimited supply of one thing, and you can't include cigars or booze
or money,
if you could have an unlimited supply of one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Time.
Oh, I should take that off the table, but it's a great answer. From now on, I'm taking that off the table. But yeah.
As long as I could turn it off eventually, like I don't want to be,
right,
4,000 years old.
Yeah.
But,
Eventually, you would want that off switch. Like, okay, I'm done. I'm tapping out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a super great answer. So let's move into this week's notable smokable, brought to us by our friends at Ace Prime Cigars. Notable cigars, notable passion, notable purpose. So each week we name a cigar that's notable to us that we had recently. Could be new, could be old, could be anything in between. So Michael, what have you smoked recently that really kind of caught your attention, even if it's, something that you've tried for the first time in many, many years?
I'll give you a couple. When I was in DR right before Great Smoke, I smoked some of the 2022 Elegancias at Aging Room, and I'm super pumped and pleased with what those are doing. They're just great. Yesterday, no, not yesterday. That was a weekend. Last week, I smoked I still have the band here. One of the Blue Opus ones.
Oh, the 20th.
Oh, so good.
Oh,
And I really I enjoyed it. You know, Opus for me is one of those things that I have just my affection for that brand is so deep, just because I remember wanting it and it being out of reach.
Yeah.
You know, as a young consumer, and then I met Carlito. My first paid gig as a musician,
that's right,
was this Puente dinner, and he gave me an Opus. And you know, that just, there's something about it that it just, you know, there's certain moments where I just feel like that's what I need, not even for flavor, but for inspiration and for like emotional reset. There's something about an Opus that just does that for me.
Yeah.
So that was really nice. And then honestly, I'm loving the hell out of this. You know, I'm still like rediscovering and re-exploring our brands and blends.
Yeah.
And you know, I always enjoyed the Supreme blend, but the 554 format didn't exist. It was a 556.
Yeah.
We moved it to a 554 to create a little more even range. And there's just something about this 554 that is slamming.
love it.
What was yours this week, Garrett?
Well, so this past weekend, there's a get together down in Indiana at Ristafari, and our good friend Todd Fickner was more than generous with several cigars that he brought down, but one in particular that we smoked to commemorate passing of our friend Tim Suitcamp, and it was the MJ.
The MJ23.
MJ23, and what I mean, it's an iconic cigar, and it was the environment, and it was the you know, memories, and so that will be a cigar in a time that I'll remember for many years.
Yeah, that was definitely up there. One that I actually just smoked earlier today was I bought a box of the Aganorsa Leaf Anniversario Figurado that were the Great Smoke exclusive release from Terrence and the team over there at Aganorsa Leaf. I just opened the box today and smoked the first one, and
it's stupid.
that Figurado size is just absolutely off the charts, ridiculous. So good.
We talked about that in the interview with Terrence, about that format, specifically the Medio Tempo that they use in the blend, and it was a great conversation. I haven't had it yet, but it's on my list to hit.
Yeah, brilliant cigar. Works perfectly in that size. So that was this week's Notable Smokables, brought to us by Ace Prime, improving lives through fine cigars. Please visit aceprime.com to learn more. So to give our viewers and listeners an idea of some cool stuff we have coming up next week on the 21st, we have Ram Rodriguez from El Artista Cigars. And on the 28th of this month, we have none other than John Carney from La Flor Dominicana.
John who? John. Oh, okay.
So, Michael, give our viewers and listeners a final idea. Where is the best place for everybody to keep up with everything going on with Ferio Tego?
So all things Ferio Tego specifically, you can see us Ferio Tego on Instagram, Ferio Tego on Facebook, feriotego.com, and Ferio Tego Cigars on Twitter. And for everything it's just Michael Herklots.
Right on.
Check out that Insta.
Check out the Insta.
So, yeah, man, we can't thank you enough. It's always a pleasure having you on the show. Always a pleasure chatting with you, whether it's in person or virtual. And we wish you a fantastic rest of 2022, and can't wait to see you at PCA and any events before and after that as well. So have a fantastic year, and we will see you again soon.
Likewise, and I just want to say to you guys, you do an unbelievable job. I know it's not easy cranking out these shows every week and making them fun and finding new guests. It's a lot of work, and you guys do a hell of a great job. So
Thank you.
keep it up,
Thank
and I
you.
certainly appreciate the support.
Thanks you very
brother.
much. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching us on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. Thank you so much, especially for listening on the audio podcast. Please make sure, take a second on the audio podcast. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit the 5 stars. If you're watching on YouTube and you haven't subscribed yet, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Watching is fantastic, but subscribing is better. And on the YouTube, on the Facebook as well. Thank you as always for watching, but make sure you follow the page and like the page. That way you won't miss any time we go live. If you guys have questions for Garrett or myself, make sure to email us on the website, howaboutthatcigar.com. And as always, guys, burn cigars,
Not bridges.
see ya.
Thanks,
Thanks.
everybody.